Okay, so we all know that feeling. It's that little bit of dread, maybe, when you know you've got a conversation coming up
Yeah.
with a colleague, maybe a friend, or even someone new, and you know it's going to feel
Heavy
forced.
lifting, right? Like you're pushing a rock uphill.
Exactly. It feels fake or kind of empty, and you walk away feeling just as disconnected, maybe even more so than when you started.
Hmm. That sense of just talking past each other.
Yeah.
It's incredibly common. And what our research suggests is that this usually isn't about, personality clashes.
Right.
It's more often a failure of technique. Most of us just fall back on these conversational habits that, well, they kind of kill the connection almost straight away.
Like interrupting or
Yeah,
jumping in with advice nobody asked for.
exactly those things. We end up talking at people, not really connecting with them.
So our mission in this deep dive is to cut through that,
Hmm.
give you 7 core techniques that we've distilled from the research. Think of it as a shortcut, maybe, to stop making those really common mistakes.
Yeah, this isn't about mastering like clever small talk. No, it's about building psychological safety. It's about real dialogue, turning those awkward spots into, well, actual chances for genuine engagement.
Okay, so how are we breaking this down?
We've sort of structured it in 3 parts. First, the foundation, just being present and actually hearing someone.
Okay.
Then we'll shift into mindset stuff and how you structure the dialogue itself.
All right, let's get into it. Where do we start? What's the biggest derailment you found?
The instant fix. That's the first one. Our first focus point is reflective listening.
Ah, okay.
The mistake is jumping straight to advice, offering a solution before you've even really processed what the other person just said.
Oh, you see this all the time. Like a friend says something frustrating, maybe. My boss keeps shooting down my ideas. I feel totally deflated.
Yeah.
And the instant reaction is, well, just quit, find a new job.
And boom, conversation over. You've given this massive, probably unhelpful solution, and you've totally missed the chance for them to unpack the actual feeling behind it. They maybe just needed someone to hear the frustration, not, a career plan.
So the technique then is reflect first.
Reflect the emotional core first. Don't fix, validate. Show you heard the struggle, then maybe invite more detail.
So instead of find a new job,
Hmm.
maybe something like, wow, that sounds really frustrating. Maybe kind of demoralizing too when your ideas get shut down like that.
Exactly. And then you could add what were some of the ideas you shared.
Okay, I see.
And the research backs this up.
Mm.
It's not just a nice thing to do. When you mirror their language or their emotions, like saying frustrating back to them, studies show it significantly boosts the feeling of connection.
Really?
Yeah, you build trust instantly because you've shown you heard them without even having to say, I understand.
Yeah.
You shift it from problem solving to just shared experience.
That's powerful. Okay, so we validate, we reflect, but then what about those awkward silences? That's the next big hurdle, right? Focus point 2. Embrace silence.
Oh, definitely. We are almost like biologically wired to hate empty airtime in a conversation.
Yeah, it feels uncomfortable.
It does. So the mistake is we rush to fill it. Someone pauses mid-sentence, maybe searching for a word, and we jump in.
Or we think we know where they're going, so we finish their sentence for them.
Right. And I think that's you jump in right there. But the research calls this interrupting a potential breakthrough moment.
Breakthrough moment.
Yeah, they might have been right on the verge of finding the deeper thought, the real insight, and you just cut it off because the silence felt awkward for a second.
So what's the technique? Just bite your tongue.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Stay quiet. Be patient. Let them have that moment to transition from the surface stuff to whatever's underneath. Some sources even suggest like literally counting to 3 in your head if you feel that urge to jump in.
Okay, count to 3. Why does that work so well, though? Just giving space.
Because often the really meaningful stuff, the deeper truths, they take a bit of cognitive effort to access and then put into words.
Right.
When you hold that space comfortably, you're signaling, non-verbally, that their thought process is more important than your need to talk. It gives them permission to be a bit vulnerable, maybe. People often share the most important things right after that little pause, that moment of searching.
Okay, so while we're being patient,
Yeah.
letting them find the words, our physical presence matters too, right? That brings us to focus point 3, body language.
Absolutely. Presence says so much, even when your mouth is closed.
And the big mistake here is pretty obvious, I guess.
Yeah, the dismissal, half listening, looking over their shoulder, glancing at your phone.
The phone glance, that's lethal.
It sends such a clear message, doesn't it? Whatever's buzzing in my pocket is more important than you right now.
Yeah. Ouch. So the technique is more than just look at them.
It is. The sources talk about specific kinds of alignment. It's an invitation. So, yeah, eye contact is key, but also leaning in slightly. Keeping an open posture, no crossed arms, and maybe subtly mirroring their energy.
Mirroring their energy, like how?
Well, if they're animated and excited, you show more visible interest. If they're quiet, reflective, you kind of match that stillness. It creates this subconscious feeling of being on the same wavelength.
Ah, okay. And the research mentioned something about leakage, didn't it?
Yes, that's fascinating. Our bodies leak our true feelings.
Mm.
Even if you're saying polite words, if your feet are angled towards the exit or your arms are clamped tight,
You're sending a signal.
you're sending a get me out of here or I'm closed
That-
off signal.
Yeah.
And the other person picks up on that, even if they can't quite put their finger on why they suddenly feel uncomfortable or shut down.
Wow. Okay. So leaning in, open posture, good eye contact, it sends that clear, I'm totally focused on you message.
Exactly. Makes them feel understood even before you get into the complex stuff.
All right. So we've got the foundation, listening, silence, body language. Now let's shift gears into section 2, mindset and dialogue. This is about how we actually respond, right?
Right. And focus point number 4 is a big one for trust. Swapping genuine curiosity for instant judgment.
Ooh, the instant judgment trap. I think we all fall into that one, especially when someone shares a big idea, maybe a risky one.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, say a friend shares, I'm thinking of quitting my stable job to start my own business.
Right. Risky.
And the immediate reaction is often, are you crazy? In this economy, that's way too risky.
And you just hear the air go out of their balloon, right?
Yeah.
Vision crushed, trust broken.
Totally.
The research points out you're basically replacing their excitement, their internal drive, with your fear and anxiety.
So the technique isn't to ignore risk, but to what? Start somewhere else.
Start with curiosity about their motivation. Ask about the inspiration, the vision, not the potential pitfalls right away.
So instead of, that's too risky, try. Wow, that sounds like a huge step. Tell me more about that idea. What sparked it? What are you hoping to build?
Exactly. That kills defensiveness instantly. You let them share the why behind it, and you can literally watch their energy light up. You're engaging with the dream, not just the danger.
Okay, but hang on. Let me push back a bit here. Does that mean we just become cheerleaders? Isn't there a place for pointing out the real risks? For, practical advice?
That's a really important question. And yes, absolutely. The sources aren't saying never discuss risks. The mistake is leading with judgment instead of empathy.
Ah, the order matters.
The order is crucial. If you start with curiosity, what's the vision? You build enough trust and understanding. Then later you can ask the tougher practical questions like, okay, interesting. Have you thought about funding? Or what's the market look like? But only after you've truly heard them out.
Got it. So curiosity first, then practicality maybe. That makes sense. Okay, speaking of subtle shifts, focus point 5 is about one tiny word that makes a huge difference. Yes, A-N-D, versus yes, but.
Oh, the dreaded yes, but. It's like a conversation killer disguised as agreement.
Right. Someone shares an idea and you say, yes, but that probably won't work because you've basically just wiped out their idea.
It sounds dismissive even if you don't mean it to. It shuts down collaboration. It feels like you're saying, nice try, but here's why you're wrong.
Happens all the time in meetings, right? Kills the momentum.
Totally. So the technique, borrowed from improv actually, is simple. Swap but for and.
Yes, and.
Instead of blocking their idea, you build on it. So if they suggest something, you say, yes. And we could also try testing that with a smaller group first.
Okay, so you acknowledge their point, yes, and then add to it. And.
Right. You keep the energy positive. You keep the momentum going. It turns a potential argument into a brainstorm. You're showing you value their input while contributing your own perspective.
I like that. Build, don't block. Okay, and this flows nicely into number 6. Thoughtful questions, going deeper than just small talk.
Yeah, because surface-level questions often get surface-level dead-end answers. It's a cognitive trap.
We've all been there. You ask the classic, how's work?
And you get
Fine, or busy. And that's it. Conversation over before began.
Exactly. The sources explain this in terms of like cognitive load, how's work, requires almost zero thought. It's autopilot.
So the technique is to ask questions that make them actually think, like engage their brain.
Engage their memory, their reflection. Ask questions that invite storytelling.
So instead of how's work, maybe.
Yeah.
What was the most interesting challenge you tackled at work this week?
Perfect. Or What's one thing that surprised you recently? Or what project are you most excited about right now and why?
Adding the why seems key.
It is. It forces reflection, makes them choose a specific story and explain their reasoning. It's just more engaging for them and honestly for you too. The sources show people feel more seen and valued when they get to share a real story, not just give a one-word status update.
You're treating them like a person with experiences, not just,
Yeah,
yeah, a vending machine for fine. Okay.
right.
So we've covered listening, presence, mindset shifts, asking better questions. That brings us to the last section, section 3, the flow. How do we keep this good conversation going?
Well, focus point 7 is often the hardest, especially if you're passionate or knowledgeable about something. Let them speak. Basically, talk less, connect more.
Uh-oh, the monologue trap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get excited about something, you start sharing. So first this happened, and then you won't believe it. She said this, and then that happened.
And 15 minutes later.
You realize you haven't let them get a word in edgewise. You might have enjoyed your story, but they've just been sitting there passively, not really a connection.
The research calls this the tennis match analogy, right?
Yeah, a good conversation is like tennis. You hit the ball over the net, they hit it back. The mistake is you hit the ball, then you immediately run around the net, grab their racket, and hit it back to yourself.
Huh. Okay, I get that image. So the technique is self-discipline, basically.
It really is. Share one main point, one key idea, or a brief story. Then stop. Hand the conversational ball back immediately.
Explicitly ask for their input.
Yes. After you share, invite them in. That's my take anyway. What do you think? Or does that resonate with your experience at all?
Right.
Keep that back and forth rhythm going. If you dominate, say, 80% of the airtime, feels like a lecture, not a connection. Talking less actually makes them feel more invested.
Wow. Okay, so that's the 7. From reflective listening, stop fixing, start hearing, all the way to, well, just talking less. It's a whole toolkit.
It really is. And when you look at all 7 together, they kind of boil down to one core idea, I think.
Yeah.
The real value comes when you genuinely prioritize understanding the other person's world.
Shifting from talking at someone.
To truly connecting with them, it's a conscious choice.
Okay, so for everyone listening, here's the challenge. Don't feel like you need to master all 7 of these by tomorrow. That's just too much.
Way too much.
Just pick one. Pick one technique to intentionally practice this week. Maybe it's catching yourself before you give advice and trying reflective listening instead.
Or maybe you just focus really hard on swapping out every yes but for a yes and in your next team meeting or family discussion.
Yeah, just try one small, deliberate shift and see what happens. Notice
Neat.
the difference it makes.
Since we talked quite a bit about silence, about how pauses can reveal truth in conversation, I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on.
Okay.
How often do we rush to fill the silence? Not just with other people, but inside our own heads.
Yeah.
Are we sometimes afraid of what important, maybe uncomfortable truths we might hear if we just stop talking to ourselves for a little while?